Yeah, I already started.
See my screen now.
No, I can only see your folder, but not that. I can see the folders that you opened, but not
Oh,
that
okay.
PowerPoint.
So I have to stop it. I'll try to I'll try to enter it again. All right, carry on.
Okay,
Let me try it. Otherwise, you'll have to open it from your end.
right.
Okay, carry on.
Okay, so all right. Thank you very much. Sorry for the interruptions. I know those who are following with us. I we had issues with the technical difficulties, and we have to end these sessions, and then we are continuing this session. So today's our regular speaker, Advocate Jiaur Rahman, is continuing. So I ask Advocate Jiaur Rahman to continue. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Can you go to the first slide on self leadership? Okay, thank you very much. Today is our 21st session on leadership. We have been doing this for the past 20 weeks, and today's topic is self leadership. I'm Ziaur Rahman. I'm presenting from Dhaka, and good evening in Canada, and good morning in Bangladesh and rest of the world. So, can you move to the second slide, please? So, normally we start off with a definition connected to leadership. So here's one. It says mastering others is strength. Mastering yourself is true power. What this means is when, as a leader, if you can create a certain level of capacity within yourself through which you can control, in the sense you can convince people, then that is strength. But as a human being, we have many frailties, we have many fault lines, we can easily go down in a negative path. So mastering yourself daily, on a day-to-day basis, for the entirety of your life, is actually true power. So it's by Lao Tzu. Can you move to the next slide? The other quotation is empowerment is something someone gives you. Self leadership is what you do to make it work. It's by Glenn Blanchard. So what this means is gives you the capacity to do things in your own way. Empowerment is something that maybe your senior manager gives you, or the community gives you if you are a political or a social leader. And self leadership is what you do to make it work. That means you have to take the power of empowerment, apply it within your own organization or within your own self, and then you actually achieve a certain target, achieve a certain objective. So these are two things. One is empowerment, having the capacity to bring yourself to work within a certain framework and get certain things done. And the second part is self leadership, which is actually pushing you to achieve certain level of expertise, certain level of skills, certain level of mental makeup that allows you to get the work done. So this is by Glenn Blanchard. Can you move to the next one, please? This is the last one. Self leadership is about awareness, it's about tolerance, not letting your own natural tendencies limit your potential. So, the whole idea is maintaining and growing your potential. Every human being, every one of us has tremendous potential that remains untapped, more or less. If you realize that strength that you have within yourself, at certain times we feel the spirit within ourselves that yes, we can do things, and you feel invigorated. You feel certain level of vibe within your body. So that's what this situation is talking about. Uh, Self leadership is about the awareness that and the tolerance, and it's not and your ability to actually get yourself to the next level. So it's actually having the true power to move yourself to the next level. So self leadership is a very powerful uh, tool that anyone and everyone can actually exercise in their lives, and that will strengthen the capacity of yourself. And it's by Scott Belsky. So moving to the next slide, please. So here is a very long, winding definition, but it gives you a clear idea of self-leadership. I've picked it up from the internet. So self-leadership is considered as a verb. So what is it? Let me read it out, then we'll try to break it down for you. So it is the honest mission of knowing and using our own resources effectively with sufficient persistence and vision to influence the direction and evolution of our potential, communicating our values and transforming through our actions so clearly that it is the manifestation of what we long to see around us. So it's a package of things that is needed in order for you to move towards self-leadership. It's actually a journey, as I mentioned in many previous slides, that leadership is not a position, but it's an action. It's a series of activities through which you, as a human being, you move to the next level. You elevate yourself through your own knowledge, through your own wisdom, through your own skills, your own capacity, your own understanding of the people around you, and having a very firm grip on the worldview, and using your these multitude of attributes to create a new space for yourself, using common sense and using the extreme energy and passion to move to the next level. So that's basically the growth of a leader. And this is where we are defining self leadership as a similar type of set of actions where you are having an honest mission. You have to have an honest mission of knowing your own resources. You have to know yourself. Just the famous quote, know thyself. You have to know your strength. You have to know the capacity that you have. You have to know what resources you can bring to the table. And you have to be persistent. Here we talk about being persistent in this journey to grow yourself as a leader. And you have to have that clarity of vision, and you have to have that power to influence the direction, and then create an evolutionary path towards the direction, towards that vision that you want to bring to the table, that you want to show to your members who are part of the process of the journey of development. So it's about also the ability to communicate at a strategic level and then transform the people's mindset through my action, our action, and then ultimately it will manifest into something that we long to see around us, that we want to see happen around us. So if you notice, this is actually nothing but a series of activities, and that is why it's considered as a verb. So it's not a noun, it's not a state, it's a continuous process of a series of small changes, series of improvement, and series of moving towards the next level, given a particular vision that you have articulated, and given that particular passion and strength that you have uh, brought onto the table, and you have been able to resonate that strength. You have been able to push the people around you to get to that, to connect to that journey of change, and ultimately create that result that you're wanting to achieve. So that's a process of self leadership. Now, can you move to the next slide, please? So here is a shorter version of what we had just talked about from a definitional point of view. It's just to give you a clear understanding, a simpler understanding of what self-leadership is. So it is defined as the practice of intentionally influencing your thinking, feeling, and behavior to achieve your objective. So strategically, we are looking at, it's a practice basically of intentionally, you are absolutely clear about the way you're acting. You're intentionally influencing your own thinking. You want to think in a particular direction. You want to feel in a particular direction. You want to behave in such a way that your objective that you have set up is going to be achieved. So it's just packaging your thoughts, it's building the momentum behind your thoughts and ensuring that your thoughts are coming into reality. And in this journey, whatever actions and attributes, whatever movements that you have to do with your team and through your proper communication and your effective delivery, you actually proceed in that direction. So you're absolutely focused on influencing your journey through passion, through feeling, and through your attitude and behavior towards that journey. So it's like a complete mental model that you have set for yourself, and you are pushing that mental model in that journey for your development. And when we talk about development, self leadership, it's not just only you, because how do you know that you have grown into a proper leader? It's by interacting with the people in your domain, in your space, and that's how you actually get a feel for what changes you have brought onto the society or onto your team. So the self leadership journey has to be questioned regularly from the people around you, because you can think in a particular way, perhaps that in some areas you have created an influence, in some areas you have improved yourself and you are the dominant factor, and now you think that you have the leadership traits to move to the next level. You may think inwardly, you may actually be doing things perhaps in the right direction, but you need that what should I say, you need that feeling of approval. And how do you get the feeling of approval? It is by interacting with people around you, people who are with you in that team, who have thought about the ideas that you have given to them. They have understood the ideas and they're willing to participate and push the idea alongside you. So they have been sold the vision that you are bringing to the table. So once you get that sense of approval from the team members in the audience with whom you are working, then actually you are proceeding in the proper path of the self leadership journey. So it is very important as a human being that we have to reflect back on what is it that we are doing and how is it impacting our lives and the lives of the others, and whether the impacts are going to be changing the perspective that you really want to change. You want to bring in a certain change. For example, you want to bring a new product into the market which was perhaps only an idea up to a certain point, but you realize that it will need a lot of effective communication, lot of vision building, lot of synergy within your R&D team, within your sales and marketing team, within your managerial team who would be actually putting the project together. It will take a lot of effort. So if you don't put yourself into the leadership journey of self leadership, it will be very hard for you to convey the message to your audience. You will be stuck at different points. And if you are a person with a proper understanding of your own self, it's your own thinking that you have to understand at a very superlative point of view, that I know what is it that I'm trying to do. I know who I am. I know what is it that I want to achieve through this process or through this communication. And then if you are invigorated, if you are passionate, you have that moral strength and turpitude, then you can actually bring everybody on board. And it will take a little time, but even in this process of bringing something very difficult, this may happen. Imagine a state leader, a national leader, trying to move on a particular agenda that maybe he is or she is thinking is appropriate at this point, but people around him or her is not seeing eye to eye. So these are the very difficult stages that as a leader you have to uh, proceed through, navigate through, walk through. Basically, you have to wade through this stormy seas, bringing everybody together and ultimately delivering the right set of results that you had envisioned. So, if in this journey, if you are not paying attention to the people around you and you're losing their commitment, then you will not be in this journey of self leadership. So in particular perspective, I would want to say that self leadership is also a process of self discovery, and in the next slides we will talk about all of that. So can you move to the next slide, please? So we just had a discussion on the definition of self leadership. Now we are going to go into the particular attributes, the characteristics of what a self leader should have within himself or herself. So first and foremost, that person has to be a self starter. Every self leadership, every person with self leadership traits must be looking things in a different way from others. So you have to do things which are different from others. So you have to be starting things from a different angle or from a particular angle which others are not proceeding towards. So you have to be the energy, you have to be the engine of growth. So you have to be a self starter. Then is the issue of trusting others and having open relationship, because as you know, every leader knows that no journey is complete unless you can bring people on board with yourself in that particular journey. You don't do things yourself per se. You bring people on board and then you move towards a particular domain, a particular direction. So you have to build a reasonable level of trust within your body, within the team, with whom you are going to operate, with whom you're going to work and deliver the results. So you have to be trusting and you have to create the open relationships with them. The next point is you have to be seeking directions and feedback. This is what I talked about at the beginning of my presentation, that a self leadership person with a self leadership journey cannot just say that I've done this, I've done that, I've gained certain knowledge, I've brought this new skill into the table, and this is who I am now. I am a better leader. This is not the way of a self leadership journey. You have to seek other people's views, other people in the audience, the people with whom you are going to be working, basically the stakeholders who are very much connected with this process will give you their feedback. And if you get their feedback and get their perspectives in, then that will be a better outcome from you. It will create a better outcome from you. So a self-leadership person will have this particular characteristics, that he or she will inquire others as to whether the direction he or she is setting is okay, or whether everybody is understanding the process, the due process of the change. Is it being understood, or is he being properly being able to communicate, etc. So the feedback process has to be there. It's the feedback is not just to revalidate your position. It also gives you a perspective as to certain changes are tweaking with the vision that you're bringing to the table. It may actually strengthen your output, your particular strategy towards the goal that you want to achieve. It may actually improve that process as well. So seeking directions and asking for feedback is an important element of self leadership. It is a particular characteristic. Then comes the assessing internal SWOT. This is something that you are doing for yourself. You're looking at your own journey, you're looking at your own perspective, your knowledge, your wisdom, your capacity to transform things. So we're looking at your own strengths, you're looking at your weaknesses. As we know, every person in this world has strengths, and he or she also has certain weaknesses. So you have to look at the two areas very significantly and objectively, and then you look at the external world of opportunities and the threats that might be hurting you or that may cause certain level of discomfort. So if you can look at yourself from a 360-degree angle holistically, we talked about holistic leadership, so we are looking at the SWOT of yourself and the journey and the process that you have built for certain things to achieve. So you're assessing your internal strength becomes an important element of self leadership. Then comes performance driven focused attributes and accountability. So performance is have to be gauged on a regular basis. If you don't gauge the performance, if you don't tally it up with the standards that you had set at the beginning, and if you don't set up this process of finding out that where you are in terms of your journey, how far ahead or how far behind are you, are you in the right direction, have you been able to achieve all the milestones, etc. Those are part of the achievement, and then you can gauge your performance. Are we going at a accelerated speed, or are we slowing down, or what needs to be done, etc. So that you will have to communicate. So these are particular characteristics. And the last one connected with performance is accountability. Again, accountability is connected with the feedback process. If you're clear with your objectives, if you are absolutely open to the process and sharing things as you proceed, then the process is more transparent, the process is more accountable to people, and ultimately you will land in a particular positive domain. So if you look at a person, anybody, if anybody going through these characteristics, and if you are trying to imbue these characteristics within yourself, you will truly become somebody special. You will have greater capacity, you will be feeling more confident as a leader, you will feel more passionate, and you'll have the motivation and drive. Everything will show up in your body language. So at the end, a self leader is someone who can, who champions the process of change with positive mindset, positive energy, and positive passion. So these are the characteristics of self leadership. Can we move to the next slide, please? This is an important uh, component area of becoming a self leader. Let's start with the first one, self discovery. As you know that it is a common statement that we say that unless you know yourself, you really can't discover, you can't be a person who will deliver outcome for society. You have to know yourself pretty well, who you are in terms of the person, what is your areas of interest, your hobbies. You have to know actually at the end of the day what what ticks for you, what makes you feel excited, what drives your passion, what is your social makeup, mental makeup. These are part of your self discovery. If you are good at the journey of self discovery, then you can frame things forward in a much better way. There is a saying, an English quote is that if you put a fish out of water on the ground, and if you expect the fish to perform, then ultimately the fish will die. Why? Because in order for the performance of the fish needs water. And if you're not there, then no matter how strong or how big of a fish or how nice looking fish it is, the fish will die in a matter of few minutes or few seconds. So the whole point is that as even as for the human being, if you don't know the environment in which you will thrive, you may not thrive. So if you are, let's say, very mathematically inclined, and if you are pushing yourself to become a someone who is who is who has to deal with a lot of linguistic issues, maybe you may not thrive there. But if you take yourself the same person and put yourself into the environment of high science, high mathematics, then you might be doing stellar. So the whole point is, uh, think of yourself at that particular point as that fish out of water. You will not survive as that fish. You will not survive as that human being. So you have to know your process of where you're going to do well in life. So you have to have that self journey of bringing yourself to the right path in the right direction and with the right earnest. Then you have actually achieved part of the process of self discovery. And once you know that you are amidst your strength areas, then it will be very much easy for you to move to the next level. So moving to the next one, self identity. Just having a discovery of what ticks for you is not enough. You have to associate with a particular identity in that particular domain. So if you know that you are good in certain area, then you have to start developing yourself with an identity uh, in that particular domain. For example, if everybody knows that you are the go-to person in terms of complex situation, then you have to develop that particular area of being able to work with complex situations, and you create an identity of yourself that here is a person who can deliver in the sense of difficult issues in life. So if there is some problem in society, economic problem, social problem, political problem, I am a person who who can be uh, who can be discussed upon, who can give certain direction. So self identity is very important. From self discovery, the identity of who you are and associating with the areas of strength is very important. Then comes the journey of development. You cannot be a strong person in terms of identity unless you have a particular sense of development in the areas in which you are suggesting that I have a particular strength area. So in order for you to be identified as a person with a particular trait, you have to be developing yourself. So assume you want to be a very good in terms of your business skills and business knowledge, then you have to develop your knowledge in the particular domain connected to business, connected to management, connected to marketing, sales, etc. So you have to have a holistic perspective in that sales development or understanding of the business process. And then you can say, I'm a very good business person with whom you can actually discuss. And if you want to do something, you may take me on board. That's my identity. I am good in shaping ideas, I'm good in creating new ventures. So that's the identity, let's say, you want to establish. You cannot establish just by saying these things. You have to establish by bringing those knowledge, those wisdom, those skills within yourself, and that is self development. Once you have the self development, you have to find the direction. You, with a lot of knowledge, people can go here and there, people can go in different places, and ultimately after 6 months, 1 year, you might find that you are back to square one, you're back to where you started, because you have dabbled with so many different ideas and you have gone in so many different directions, and each one of these directions were perhaps okay, but you didn't step in and push yourself. You didn't put in enough horsepower behind your journey. So the horse cart went in different directions without actually getting to the direct destination. So you were always shy of your destination. When we talk about destination, we are talking about certain outcomes, certain achievement, certain wisdom, areas of wisdom that you, certain areas of vision that you wanted to particularly achieve. So the self-direction journey is absolutely important. You have to go in the particular direction to get to that particular point. Then comes awareness. What is awareness? These are actually all of these combined. You have to be aware as to which direction you're moving and whether this direction is right for you. If you don't realize that ahead of time, then you will be wasting your time, you'll be wasting your company resources, or your personal resources if you're an entrepreneur. And ultimately, it will be a wasteful exercise, and you will be feeling upset in this journey. And everybody around you will sense your sense of failure and will be disconnect, and then the ultimate vision is not going to take shape. So this is an important issue of the awareness being part of your self leadership. You have to be constantly aware. And in the previous slide we talked about the journey of we talked about the attributes, where we talked about knowing your people's perspective. That means the feedback process. And in the self awareness journey, the feedback might be very helpful. Self talk. This is an interesting idea. It's like you talk to yourself on a daily basis. Am I doing the right thing? Is this the right process? Am I thinking straight? Am I not doing things which are too out of the norm and people are not perhaps connecting with my idea? These are small talks, but very important talks that at the beginning, actually, normally people try to do these things at the end of the day before going to sleep. You think of the day, you think of the things that had been eventful for you, and whether you did things properly, or whether certain things you want to do differently tomorrow. So these are part of the self talk. It's like self preparation for yourself in the journey of your self leadership. So you have to do that on a regular basis, and that kind of gives you the uh, that gives you a particular perspective as to the journey in which you will be proceeding from tomorrow. I'm not suggesting that you will be taking different paths every day through self talk, but these self talks are minimalistic issues that you have to change your direction at certain times. But at certain points in life, self talks might be very powerful and very difficult, and you have to break your journey from the way you're moving. For example, if you have to discontinue a particular product for which you had spent millions of takas or millions of dollars, and all of a sudden you have done a very extensive research, and a certain perspective has dawned upon you that perhaps this product is not currently appropriate, or this product will not see its outcome, and you will be just putting money and you'll be draining your company resources. So you might have to do a self talk and understand that the journey has to stop. So these are part of the leadership, self leadership, and therefore self talk is an integral and inherent part in this journey of your self leadership. And the last one is actually uh, the self mastery that uh, the first slide we talked about, where the gentleman talked about managing at a certain level of your own self. That is power, and if you are able to master other people, then it's strength. So moving from strength to power is actually self mastery. So this self mastery process takes years. It takes a lot of commitment, lot of energy, and lot of emotional power to move to that level. So when we talk about the self leadership attributes, these are the important points, the 7 important points that we can actually think at the back of our head, that will help us to formulate a particular journey that we are or we want to proceed towards. Okay, let's move to the next slide, please. These are just ideas, the mindsets of people that you have to have in order for you to be a leader in a particular domain. So you have to be able to first challenge assumed constraints. Assumed constraints might dogmatic views, assumed constraints might, this is how we do things here, and we don't want to change things. It may unsettle the boat, it may rock the boat. These type of mentality. Anything which is a dogmatic view, anything which has been happening in a particular domain for a long time, is a dogmatic view or a heavy set viewpoint. These mental models, these makeups have to be challenged by a self leader, because you are in the process of a new discovery. A leader is always a self starter in the process of new discovery. So you cannot discover new grounds. You cannot go into new shores unless you travel that path of obstacles, those shores, the winds and the typhoons and everything you have to cross over. Then you have to be proactive. That means you just can't just say we want to do things and then stop and wait for people to do things. You have to be their champion. You have to take the leadership position, and you have to take the bull by the horn and move the organization or the department or the idea through a long process, through the process where you will feel inferior at times. People may try to put you down. People might give you a lot of stress. People might try to, you know, tell you that your ideas is not going to work. So many things can happen. But if you are resilient, if you are passionate, if you have a very firm commitment and you can see the future fairly clearly, that through this journey, through this set of activities, through this inspiration and motivation and teamwork, you will get to what you have envisioned. So you will be championing the effort. You will not be swayed by other people's ill motives or other people's negative vibes. You will be moving forward. So being proactive is absolutely essential for a self leader, and this mindset is absolutely vital. You have to be controlling your mindset on a regular basis, so that you are not pushed into the darkness, you're not pushed into the pit, when pit of depression. If you are pushed behind, that is not just pushing yourself behind, you're pushing the entire team. So being very optimistic is absolutely essential for a self leader. And then activate points of power. This is very important. Wherever there in this journey you see some spark, you see some magic, you have to take that magic and then get people to unite around that magic, around that strength area, and push it forward. So when we talk about powers of point, we are talking about maybe small ideas, which is creating a new opportunity for this particular process. So it's sparking a new direction. So you have to pick those particular points, pick those particular lights of illumination, and then you work with them so it casts a greater light around you in this journey. So you can see you can see that your pathway is lighted with brighter ideas, brighter efforts are coming through, and people are resonating. People are coming back and feeling the comfort, that they are in the comfort zone now. Although the process might have been very choppy at the beginning, it might have been difficult, and the outcome was not properly understood by any of the people. But now the activities are creating new light, and it's creating a, a culture of brightness, and people are being able to sort of see and connect with the vision that you want to push forward. So this journey, you are connecting with the strengths of power. We're talking about power which comes through, let's say, self-development, powers which comes through putting yourself in the self-discovery mode, uh, power in terms of being able to convince all of the people at a particular time, and then you see that a lot of energy has come about through a particular meeting. You push your agenda forward based on the strength that you have garnered into your team members. Normally, when you see that every leader goes through a period of high achievement and a period of lull. The whole point is, if you are a true leader in this journey of self leadership, the low points you will circumnavigate. You will navigate out of the low points fairly quickly by this, by associating with the moments of power, associating with getting more energy from the team, or finding hope, or ray of hope from different areas within the team or within the environment in which you are working, and then communicating these moments of joy, moments of strength, what you may call it, the moments of power, into the process. And once these are properly nourished, properly cultivated, the entire set of people will feel that passion, will feel that power, and then the journey will be much easier. So ultimately, this power will impact upon the challenges, impact upon all the obstacles. You will have the strength, you will have the capacity to move these uh, mountains of discomfort that may come and be part of your way, through this passion, through this invigorating strength that you have brought into your team members. So this journey is very difficult, and it starts with your mindset. So the first thing is being productively positive. You have to be positive at all points during your constraints, during the process of being proactive. Proactive itself is being positive, and during the moments where you are activating power within your team. So you have to be very much passionate about the mindset, and this mindset mapping exercise will be very much instrumental in this journey of self leader. Can you move to the next slide, please? These are the skill sets. We actually have gone through this, some of these previously. So um, I just want to pick the idea that you have to be a process oriented person to be a self leader, right? You have to develop certain process. So the goals have to be in front of you. If you don't set the particular set of goals, you will not be journeying in the right path. Then you have to be able to diagnose, how do you, in your journey, what needs to be done as the part of the goal. If you are not assessing your own strength areas, your competency, and the commitment that you may have within your team, then you'll be having a problem which will be brewing in line with the goal setting. You will have the goals, but the problems will be brewing, or the problems will be right there like a sore, like a like a ugly input, a negative input. But you cannot change those inputs. That is not going to give you the outcome. It's going to be a negative traction. It will be a frictional point for you. So you don't want these frictional points that is in the path of your journey to your the self discovery, and the journey to your particular outcome that you want to achieve. So you have to be diagnosing these failure points. You have to be diagnosing these sore areas, diagnosing these defect, these elements of disease, these if you call it from a medical point of view, these bacterias that are actually hurting your ecosystem, body ecosystem, and then you can actually proceed. So this is very important. Spending a little bit of time, not significant of time, reasonable time to assess if there are some areas which are problematic, and you need to uh, eject those problems. These might be even people within your team who are actually creating a lot of discomfort, and every time you go and champion certain ideas, and your team members are excited, but one or two people are so negative at certain times that all the effort with which you have invigorated these people comes to naught. So these are the people with whom you have to go and have a discussion as a leader, and this is very important. And if these people are not changing their ways of thinking, and thinking that their ways are the right way, then maybe you have to diagnose the problem in a particular way that you have diagnosed, and get them out of the system. You may have to take them out of your team or your organization, or you have to give them proper mental nourishment, training, incentives, so that they start to feel and act in a particular way. Normally, a person becomes very negative, does not happen overnight. It's a series of activities that turns people into a negative personality, and it may happen throughout his or her life. So at the age of, let's say, 30, or so in a very fairly an adult age, he happens to land in your organization, let's say through a faulty interview process, but now he or she is in your organization, but a very problematic person in terms of maybe being very negative at almost every juncture of any process. So you have to deal with those people. So that's the area of diagnosis of the self leader. It can be diagnosis of product, it can be diagnosis of a particular component of a product, particular component of a service, or it might be a diagnosis of the team, the team's motives, the team's team building areas, or a particular person within the team. And then you also, last point is, as a self leader, you are matching the team members. Basically, you're matching the styles that provides you with what you need. If you are in an industry which is highly it's pushed by high impact change, high adrenaline effort, then you have to match particular leadership styles and align your leadership styles with the style of the industry. You can't be a person who is very, very, maybe I should not use the word slow, but somebody who's paying a lot of attention to nitty gritty work and taking a lot of time to do certain change in a particular design. If you are in that type of leadership, normally you might be a slow in terms of making particular decision, but maybe your decision at the end becomes a effective decision. That can be the case. But if you are in an industry which is highly volatile and changing quite regularly, every 3 4 months certain changes have to be incorporated, otherwise your product or your service will not be very effective. In those type of environment, in those type of situations, you cannot be a proper leader guiding your team. So you have to understand that you have to be able to match your leadership style with the attributes of the environment, of attributes of the people with whom you are working. So it's very much a challenging issue. But as a self leader, if you are in your journey, if your goals are properly set, you know what needs to be done, then you are quickly diagnosing all the fault lines and all the areas which are inappropriate in this journey. You start finding ways to improve those areas, and then you also find a way to match your own particular style, match the style and bring people with particular leadership style to do particular actions. Then ultimately you will be a successful leader. So these are some of the skill sets of a self leader. Can you move to the next slide, please? This is just a roadmap. Don't bother about the comments. I just wanted to bring to your attention that life is nothing but a series of journeys, and you have to follow certain paths in order for you to attend to in order for you to achieve a certain destination. So if you're stuck with these little comments areas and spend a lot of time in this journey, then you'll be stuck right then and there. So what I'm trying to say, in this journey of life, you will have roadblocks. You will have points where you will have to stand still, review the condition, assess the overall perspective of your life, and gather knowledge and get feedback from people, and then move to the next point and next point and next point. But my point is, if you are standing in a particular juncture for too long of a time, then your ultimate destination will be delayed. You will not achieve the target in life that you want to achieve, and ultimately you might even feel that your life had not been properly your output was not properly optimized or maximized, and therefore you are not successful. These feelings can come in at the age of 35, 40, even 50. Why? Because in this journey you were not very clear as to which direction to move. So at the very the point that I want to make is, you have to have a clear picture, a mental makeup of where you want to go as a self leader, and then proceed with poise, with caution, with particular understanding of the market, and move in that direction. And at given points, you have to stand still, review your context, review your positioning, the areas that you really needed to improve upon. Are those areas within yourself? Have you improved in the domains that you wanted to you wanted to build your strengths? Are you there? If not, what needs to be done? So all these questions you have to ask, but your road has to be seen. You have to know almost clearly which road you want to travel and where you want to go. For example, if you want to be a successful businessman, then you have to proceed in the domains of business, business, and business. You can't be doing just social work and expect you to be a very famous business work. Of course, I'm not suggesting that a big businessman will not do social work. I am suggesting only that you have to have the time value understood. And based on that time value, you would be putting more time allocation in that particular journey, which you feel that most uh, passionately about, that this is the particular journey that I will take. That's where you will allocate most of your time so that you ultimately achieve your target or get very close to your target. So the journey of life is nothing but roadmaps. And as a leader, you have to take that self leadership journey on a regular basis and move towards the ultimate vision or ultimate goal or objectives that you have set for your life or for your entire organization or even for your nation or your community. So move to the next slide, please. This brings to my uh, end of my presentation. And normally I end with a $1 million question. So today's question is there a way to know which managers or leaders have the perspective of self leadership or naturally cultivate it? So the whole point is on 2 points that I am pinning my question. One is the perspective of self leadership. Do the managers or the leaders know what are the perspective of self leaders? Do they have it within themselves, or they have it naturally cultivated, or they have it within themselves? So the answer is, I think both. You can uh, cultivate areas through which you can actually go through the journey of self leadership and improve yourself. But at the same time, naturally speaking, some people are born with natural instinct to be a leader. When you look at children, and if you bring the children, 5 or 10 children together, you will naturally see 1 or 2 children trying to dominate the interaction. Domination of interaction is not leadership per se, but that is a trait where you have the power to sway people's perspective. You have the power to bring people together to listen to you, or at least try to make people listen to you. That is a domain of leadership. Uh, Positively, you can use it. Negatively, sometimes people take it in the negative direction. We are talking about positively using the influence of power to control the environment. So I think it's partly designed by yourself and partly cultivated from your environment, from your society, partly cultivated from the orientation that you had come through in your own family lives. If you had come through a family where people gave you the opportunity to grow, people nourished you, people gave you the opportunity to feel empowered to do things, you will automatically generate leadership traits. So that becomes a environment that gives you the potential of self leadership. But it might be also an area where you truly had the potential, you just got the environment to actually grow even faster. So both issues are there, both are needed, but to me, I would be a little bit partial towards having it naturally within ourselves. So, with that, I would end my presentation for today and welcome to everyone, whoever listened to our presentation. And we look forward to seeing you next week, same time. And goodbye from Dhaka, and good night to people in Canada and rest of the world. Uh, Back to you, Edward.
All right, thank you very much, Advocate Jio Rahman. Thank you. We are almost time now. So today's topic has wonderfully, been presented by Advocate Jio Rahman. Thank you very much. And with that, I would like to invite our next training sessions in the coming week, as we know that we are doing a weekly series on every um, Tuesday, every Wednesday at Edmonton time, that the Mountain Standard Time at 9 p.m. And in Toronto, Ottawa, the Eastern Standard Time is 11 p.m. And in Dhaka, Bangladesh, time is um, 10 a.m. On Thursday, and in Indian time is on Thursday at 9:30 in the morning. So with that, I would like to thank everyone and stay safe and stay blessed. Thank you.